All right, so I get the question oftentimes, what do you do with old birds or mean roosters? Sorry it's so loud out here with the chickens, but we have this flock right here that, is in this paddock, and they're kind of our newer chickens, but we have 15 or so old chickens, and they're no longer really producing eggs anymore, and especially it's about to be winter time, and so we have to supplement their food with layer pellets and that kind of stuff. And so you're having to spend money to feed them, and they're not producing anything. Now, I fully understand that there are other good uses for chickens, even if they're not producing eggs. They take care of ticks, but of course, wintertime, we're not dealing with that. Bugs, ticks, fertilizer, I get all that. But we've got other chickens for that. So there's really three options. You got three options on what you can do for, to old birds. One option is that you can just let them die. That is an option, is if you just want to keep watching them and keep feeding them and spending that money and all that, then you can certainly do that. I have an issue though with eating dead birds that we find. So if we find a dead chicken somewhere, I think some of these principles would be same for ducks and turkeys and stuff too, but if you find a dead chicken somewhere, I just don't want to eat it because I'm not sure, did it die from disease or old age? What happened? So, but that's one option. You can just let it die. A second option to what you can do with just older birds that aren't producing eggs or anything is to rehome them. And we've certainly done this before, where we have old birds that aren't producing eggs, and and there may be a good reason for this, especially if your kids are very close to those chickens and have a good relationship with those chickens. They may not want to process and butcher them, so rehoming them might be a good way to go. So the downside to that, of course, is that a lot of people don't want to take a chicken that isn't producing any eggs. So that's one of the main reasons that people get chickens. Obviously, we got a rooster in here. But one of the main reasons people get chickens is for the eggs. And so if you can't get eggs from the chickens, well then not many people are going to want to take those. But we've certainly done that before, and that's fine. So that's another option. A third option is what we're doing today, and that is processing for meat. So what we're going to be doing here in a little bit is we're actually going to be putting all of our 15 or so older birds into our chickshaw and taking them to an area where we're going to butcher them. And I'll have a video on how to do this, so I'll try to drop that down below. But the good thing about that is that you get the meat, you're not having to spend money on food or feed for them. So there's some big benefits to that. Now, roosters. So let me talk about roosters, because obviously roosters don't lay eggs. And by the way, a lot of people don't know this. This seems like common knowledge, but it's not actually, that you don't need a rooster to have chickens that lay eggs. If you just had all hens, all females, all hens, then you can still get eggs. You don't have to have a rooster. But a lot of people get a rooster. A lot of people order a bunch of chickens and, as little baby chicks, and, 90% of the time is going to be accurate. They're all going to be hens, but sometimes you get a rooster or two in there, and we have as well. And that's, a rooster behind me. And a lot of people don't like the roosters because roosters can get aggressive and mean. In fact, there's a story a long time ago. We had a flock. We had a rooster, and one of my sons named him Trucky. I don't know why. Likes trucks. So we named him Trucky. And one morning, my wife was out there taking care of the chickens, and Trucky attacked my wife. And so she comes running in, and she gets me and says, "You know what? We got to take care of Trucky. He can't do that, because if he attacks me, as a grown woman, what's he going to do with our kids? We got to protect our children, my daughter, whatever." So I was nervous because my middle son, named him Trucky, and that's always a bad idea to name an animal that you maybe plan to process one day. And so I was nervous about telling my son that we had to dispatch Trucky for food. So he comes up to the breakfast table, and I tell him, buddy, Trucky attacked your mom. He's going to attack your sister. What we have to do as men, right? To protect the females in our home. And so he gets down from his little stool and he runs into his room. He comes back with a big old plastic Rambo knife. And he says, "We will destroy him." So that wasn't too hard. And so that day, I should say that night, Chucky was on our grill. So, I mean, you could either, I mean, for a lot of older birds and roosters, they're probably better for soup birds, or they can be a little tougher, gamier. But that's certainly, I think, a good option. So it's just the reality of life. I mean, a lot of people, they've gotten mad at me before when we did meat rabbits or chickens in the past, and they said, well, how could you do that? How could you butcher that? And these are people that eat meat. These are people that eat chicken and beef or whatever. And the thing about this, we know where the food comes from. We know that this is clean food, you know, all organic and everything else, and it's coming straight from, as it were, farm to fork. So if you like meat, you eat meat, well, this is a just very natural thing that happens. We've just gotten so disconnected from our food source that we just think food comes in a plastic wrapper, you know, at the store. So anyway, I think it's a good thing. But anyway, those are the three options, what to do with older birds. Again, you could just let them die, but then you're wasting food, and, you know, anyway, there's that. You can rehome them, but maybe not a lot of people want to take a bird that's not really useful other than like bugs and fertilizer. Or you can process them for meat, and that's what we're planning to do today. So anyway, again, I will drop a link down below for the processing, how to do that. And hopefully that's helpful. I won't show killing, okay, the chickens, but I will show the actual butchering and how to do that. So if you're, and we're gonna do it without plucking. We're gonna do that without plucking. So anyway, I'll drop that down below. But thanks so much for your support for us, for our channel. We'll see you on the next video.